This set, Insignem versus Papis, I think coming into this, we would bill Insignem Optus Gang as the set, but based on what we've seen today, clearly this is a very fitting way to end it, right? This is the winner of this match is the one who deserves to go. It's cut and dry, best of 3. Just whoever comes out on top is the winner.
And the Papis played very well earlier on, but they did end up losing a game to Optimus Gang, and Optimus looked pretty good in that one. That was their first game of the day, and it went downhill very quickly ever since then. But I think the Papis do have a real shot at upsetting Insignem here, at least for one game. I think that they do have to work uphill up against the way the DeathPanter and LASBRA have played in the mid-jungle. So I'm really looking to see how Warchi and WorstTurttle are able to match up against them. How is a dual lane going to do for the Papis, where the Papis dual lane looked very, very good up against Optimus Gang. But then Insignem just did that to the duo lane of the Optimus Gang, so you wonder if that was as much Optimus Gang's duo lane playing down as it was Papis playing up. And of course, Julio in the solo lane up against Zearoe is something that I'm really looking forward to, because as I've mentioned, Zearoe stepped up, but Julio has as well.
And I'm very interested in a solo matchup as well, but I mean the mid lane matchup, that's the one I think that really is going to be determining, because you highlighted earlier, and I think you're very correct, that Warchi stepped up in a big way for the Papis, and I think for Insignem, DeathPanter is very much the core, right? He's very much that safety valve. He's like the one with all the experience, the one who unquestionably is very, very talented and can absolutely win games for his team. So which one of those can shut down the other, win that matchup, that's huge.
I mean, DeathPanter went to the world stage last year, so
he's
got plenty of experience for these sorts of high-pressure, big-impact games, and I think that it kind of bestowing that knowledge among his team and trying to get them comfortable, and that's really all it is. I mean, there's no secret Smite client that you play whenever the games matter more. It's still the same game.
Yeah,
it's
you load into everything the same way.
Exactly.
It's all the same,
so it's just about getting your emotions in check and your mentality in check and trying to stay in the moment, but not let the moment take a hold of you.
Well, let's go ahead and right into it. Papis up against Insignem, picks and bans for game number 1. And remember, these aren't the same picks and bans we've been seeing, I would say, in SPL, right? We've been seeing the Jingweis get valued, the Soul. Sobek has gone relatively highly as well in some of these matchups, and there he is getting banned. So it's a little bit different than what you might be used to seeing, but if these are the picks that everyone's valuing here, then they're the ones to ban. You know, those are the ones to take away.
That's right. Don't expect the Baron Samdi or the Chernobog or the Freya. No, we haven't. In the Pele, most of the time isn't getting seen, though it did just get banned by the Papis. It's definitely a different flavor down here, so you need to be familiar with the enemy team and make sure that you understand what they might leave open or what you need to ban away from them.
Well, I imagine Athena would be snap selected by whoever's here, but there we go. Chernobog being properly valued, at least in this case. Papis going to pick it first overall. Nothing wrong with that. Serqet also very strong. Another one that's going to be very strong for them as well. So Chernobog with that mobility, the ability to affect the map from anywhere essentially, and then Serqet, who is just a very powerful jungler in her own right.
Serqet Athena is a great 2 picks here for Insignem.
Good?
Yeah, they feel pretty good about this. Yes, you give up Chernobog, but you take away WorstTurtle's best god in the Serqet, give it over to LASBRA, and it's already one of his best gods anyways, and you get the global pressure that's also flexible in this matchup, because I really think that Zearoe has that Athena in the god pool, so you can give it to Genetics or to Zearoe in that solo lane. Your draft is still wide open now if you're Insignem.
Freya coming through along with the Geb. I like this. They've got 2 very, very strong carries, especially if the game gets late, and there's probably no one better at protecting those 2 carries if the game goes late than this Geb. So it seems very clear to me. I think Chernobog can do very well for you in the mid game, but when these 2 get to that late point, you got Geb in there, cataclysming, shielding, shockwaving. This is tough to deal with.
It is, and I do like these 2 selections here for the Papis. I am just a little bit worried about their early game and how well they can contend.
They need a good jungler for that, yeah.
They need to have a good jungler, because if Warchi on the Freya has a good early game, but if she gets set behind, she can become very, very vulnerable very, very quickly, especially against a character like Agni that is so good at poking you out, keeping you in kill threshold for the jungler.
That definitely could be difficult, and Athena and Serqet harassing might not allow for Warchi to get to that comfort level, so that's where they're going to need something strong. I know Najah hasn't been valued much here, but he certainly comes to mind as one that I wouldn't mind paired with this. Ram, a very strong hunter that comes in on Insignem's side, gives them a little bit of a way to stand toe-to-toe with that late-game powerhouse from Chernobog Freya, so certainly nothing wrong with that.
No, but the Ram selection here for Joshy looks pretty good. In the Chang'e for Julio, yet again, he played it so well, and they take the Odin for themselves. I really, really like this draft from the Papis. It does lack hard CC. It does really fall behind hard. If they do end up falling behind, their comeback potential is fairly limited, I think, with this draft. But I love the Chang'e Odin pairing there to make sure that you don't get hit by a pick that really would have blindsided you.
And it's great early game. We were just saying that that's something they would need, right? That Odin, just like his raw damage, if he's in the jungle for them, which I imagine he will be, that could certainly be a huge tool for them. The cage to be disruptive as well, limit some of these dash-ins from all three of these characters. I mean, I think Papis, like you said, they got to execute essentially perfectly, but if they do, this is really a strong draft.
And I'm curious as to why Insignem's willing to pick the Terra into the Odin, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the last pick. Could be solo, could be support. I really could see that going either way for these teams. But that Terra pick has to do well and not get punished, or else we're going to look back at this moment of the draft and go, well, Insignem maybe could have won if they would have picked a better selection than Terra into Odin.
It's so tough, though. Both these teams have a strong team fight. Which one are you leaning out there in Mixer? Go ahead and make sure you vote for us now in that poll. Again, Papis, I feel like, are so much reliant on this Odin as sort of that linchpin for them, even once they move beyond it, because they are control light. Unless that cage is perfect, they won't have much for it aside from really the Geb. So as long as they're executing perfectly, still, again, I feel really good about the Papis.
I agree, but man, Insignem's got a ton of CC, good AoE damage, tons of control. Insignem, if they get off to an early start, I mean, it probably won't be 13 minutes fast, but this could be over fast.
It absolutely could be going the way, potentially, of Insignem. And what more could you ask for? This feels like a return back to good picks, or not good picks and bans, but maybe more of what we're used to seeing. More traditional. Yeah, and I didn't mean good by any means. Certainly traditional is much more what I was thinking of, what we might have expected, right? And these competitions look way better for it. But this is it. Papis up against Insignem. The game one right here. Everything on the line. It's as easy as winner and go home here. Whoever takes it is the one that gets to make it to play up against those SPL teams. Well, we'll get a chance to see it. Let's go right into the action for game number one.
Thanks a lot, Finch and Ryan, for setting the table. I'm Tom Ballinger, and I'm back here with my cohort, Anatoly. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
You excited for this one?
Yeah. Honestly, both of these teams were able to trump over Optimus Gang. Were the favorites, I believe, going into it until, obviously, Johnny not able to make an appearance, really stopping them in their tracks.
Nice job by Draco to secure his own purple, despite the efforts of Insignem. This is the power of fandom right here. I think Insignem is clearly the upper card here. I don't want to say better team. Papis can absolutely win this set and then go on to play at the placement round November 5th through the 10th. With that in mind, though, I think most people worth their salt will tell you that Insignem is expected to win here. But the power of the Papis, the fan vote comes through, and they have all the fans in the world right now rooting for them. And, you know, this is something that I think it's noticeable on land. When you've got fans in the stands, there's a noticeable change. I'm not sure how much of that theoretical, you know, playing from home and the fans are rooting from home, I don't know if that translates, but if it does, the Papis certainly have the win in their sails.
Oh, the fans want to know when the Papis play, and they're doing it right now. Finding their victory against Optimus Gang, trying to do the same against Insignem to punch their ticket to the placement stages where they have an opportunity to go up against certain other SPL, SGS teams to punch their way also to HRX.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching them sort of topple Optimus Gang, who had a good run versus the Papis, but ultimately versus Insignem will just totally fall. So as Finch said, this best of 3 is for all the marbles. He who wins goes on to visit us here in Atlanta, playing the placement rounds right here at Skill Shots.
I like the Chang'e versus Terra matchup, both of them getting those healer guardians online. Not going to be doing much at the beginning of the laning phase, but it's all about how you transition into these team fights and being such lane bullies. And Insignem's duo lane, Genetics and Joshy, having this Athena Ram combination is not going to wait patiently around. They're just going to force a lot of things under the tower, denying so much gold, basically. Ever since that purple buff invade, half of the wave was already stripped away experience-wise, and as a result of constantly pushing the waves for 4 waves in a row, because that's 2 minutes, they're able to invade the next purple buff.
Ram's been so powerful as of late. We've seen a lot of the hunters go for him, especially in lieu of Chernobog when banned or otherwise selected. Weekend has Ram as his highest hunter on the tier list, and really we've seen a lot of Ram from the top end players. He just comes out and he's able to just do his job rather well.
Zearoe just casually taking a 1v2 as WorstTurttle, absorbing some experience, just now hitting level 4. LASBRA able to just kind of get more under his belt in the experience per minute chart. Serqet normally has the extra mobility just off of the base movement speed, and it's no slouch in this matchup either.
Warchi on the mid lane, Freya. We've seen the transition of Freya over to the duo lane a decent amount. But here going I would say, traditional spot for new Freya is that mid lane. So Warchi going to grab onto that one and play the more traditional location. It's so weird for me to say that Freya is traditionally in the mid lane.
Well, for Warchi, nothing is traditional, right?
That's fair.
Because he is making that transition from the Hunter to the mid role. He's played Soul in that role before. He's now playing Freya. I think he just likes basic attackers. He wants to be able to just hit people for a lot of damage every single, like, 3/4 of a second based on how much attack speed you got.
With that in mind, you know, new Freya so much more similar to a regular mage, to a traditional mage than she has been in the past. In the past, looked at sort of like a magical hunter, almost like an assassin at some moments. But certainly here, players have been calling her very mage-like with the changes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Being able to hit through minions is the biggest change you could ever do for the Freya, and I think as a result of that, that's why the popularity has been such of an increase. I like the vision from Papis all around this Gold Fury, making sure that they know where LASBRA is coming from. And when you're dealing with any jungler that has a blink, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, you got to be very careful about how that player is going to enter the lane. Good taunt from Genetics here, but he is surrounded. That said, his Hunter will show up on the bottom side. Purple buff defended, it looks like. Draco able to pick up his purple one more time.
But both of them having to back means that they're going to lose this whole entire wave. Depending on the way Joshy wants to handle it, LASBRA with a quick first blood 5 minutes in onto Julio.
Just falls down, big gank on the right side. Genetics helps with the invade on the left, then uses the ultimate to transition to the short side, and down goes the opposition. Nice kill there for LASBRA. You want to start off the Serqet hot and early, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Getting the stuff after the stuff with the invade on the blue buff. Both of these Terra and Chang'es really need their blue buffs to spam their sustain to make sure they don't fall too far behind in the laning phase. Zearoe going to go for the penetration boots as opposed to Julio's shoes of focus.
Different approaches here. Julio, I like the shoes of focus because of the Chang'e. We talked at length about the cooldown reduction and how important that was for this character. Whereas the Terra, she could do some damage in this lane. Although right now, she's going to wish she could do more. 3 players surrounded her. Don't think there's anywhere for Zearoe to go, and Julio will get revenge. Get his kill right now.
Chang'e feeling very frisky, taking a boxing exchange against a Ram. Both of them having Devo gloves. 6 stacks above is Joshy now as he cleared the way first. His Genetics is coming around the corner. Not wanting to tower dive this quite yet. Probably going to see less action from Genetics as opposed to Dracomarino, and that's the advantage of just having the global pressure. Genetics should be around the mid lane looking for the taunt setups onto DeathPanter.
Well, Draco comes from behind and knocks Genetics into the wall. Might have been able to find a better angle, but ultimately just helps out his Hunter. Nice job there. I have a friend from home. I recently met him. His name is Rama.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it was funny. My buddy introduced me. He's Punjabi. He's of Indian descent. He was like, hey, you know, this is my friend Rama. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Blah, blah. And then at the end of the night, I said goodbye. I said, nice to meet you, Ram. And he like did a double take, and he's like,
everyone calls me Rama. Why are you calling me Rama?
Yeah,
that's
he was
exactly
like, what?
The way you're supposed to say it. Yeah.
He was like happily surprised. He was like, wait, what? You called me Ram. I was like, oh, you know, just habit, sign of respect to drop the A. Right here, Insignem going to show a sign of disrespect and look to drop the Hunter. Chang'e just going to be caught up and put down. DeathPanter, hot rotation from the mid lane. And he asked me how I knew that. And I said, well, video games.
Oh, I thought you were going to go the opposite route. Like, yeah, I'm a cultural, religious buff?
No, I said video games, and he laughed really hard and went, you play Smite, don't you?
What a small world we live in.
It was really funny. I had a laugh about that, but some fun things going on here in the world of Smite. There's definitely some worldly stuff you can sort of take with you.
If somebody was named after, like, Shiva, I would be terrified of that person.
Yeah, that'd be kind of scary.
Or Kali.
Kali
be
is
scared.
Yeah, Kali is.
It's like, whoa.
That's a long first date.
Can you imagine if somebody was named Bakasura?
Oh man, I don't want to take them to an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Now I would date someone named Freya.
Okay.
I'd date Freya. Strong woman, about her business. Freya's always been that sort of character. Now, even, like I said, drastically different than she used to be, but she demands the attention of the opposition. When you get whooped, you know you're in trouble, whether it's from her or she's setting up her teammate. That banish is going to set up Warchi's own shot. It's going to set up WorstTurtle's jump. We've seen that combination a number of times in the Pro League and beyond. So Warchi on the Freya is certainly going to be a character that demands a lot of attention from the opposition. All tied up here as we approach 10 minutes. Insignem with a very slight gold lead, 1,600. Well, a little bit more than I had anticipated. But even still, the Papis certainly not behind by any large margin.
I think some of that lead comes down to the purple buff invades and the denial of experience. First blood bounty definitely doesn't hurt the momentum that Insignem's been able to pick up for themselves. Experience is pretty much even all across the board, minus Joshy with about a half-level lead over Chang'e. That might show a difference once the level 12 markers actually come out, and if there's going to be a team fight where Joshy doesn't, or sorry, where Chang'e might not have that Aegis second.
Yeah, it might be a little bit rough. We'll see how that one sort of unfolds. But for now, a lull in the action. DeathPanter keeping players out of the lane. Chang'e by himself gets blinked on. LASBRA's here, and that's a dead hunter. 7-weight, there's no way.
No, he's dead.
Nice job.
That's a long last breath. So it doesn't tick then, I'm assuming?
No, it does not tick while you're a shadow.
So it still keeps the same duration.
You know, most of the time I
Because
thought you shed the debuff. But
interesting.
Right there, it keeps holding.
I'm not sure if you cleanse the debuff or not, but maybe it's
clearly
just,
you don't.
Yeah, last breath was still able to last for quite a long time there.
LASBRA getting the kill. 2-0-0 on the jungle Serqet with my preferred build. Jotun's Wrath became forgotten with a lot of the other options available, not just on Serqet, on virtually every character. Jotun's Wrath, one of these items that don't really have a passive. Its passive is 20% CDR, I suppose. Just pure stats. But 20 CDR, I've gone on about 20 CDR before in the past.
Yes, you have.
It's half of your cap. And as a Serqet, having your abilities up often is very important. That keeps you slippery, and that's kind of the claim to fame for this selection, is how slippery and dynamic a Serqet can be. You blink in, you zigzag, you ambush out, you ambush in, you zigzag out. There's so many options for a Serqet to really do her thing, and having that up more often, again, just like Julio's Chang'e, LASBRA's Serqet, a character I want to see a lot of cooldown.
Also can be said about WorstTurttle, going for some cooldown reduction, but with more physical power on the Transcendence. Might be lacking a little bit of physical penetration, but Gold Fury is secure.
No vision from the Papis, just a caught him sleeping moment. Insignem goes for it. Most of the time, that's the brick through a window, right? That is a team just testing the response time of the cops. How long will it take the Papis to get here? But once you get down to 40%, you're sitting there and like, well, maybe we just rob the place. And that's exactly what Insignem do. They make out like bandits.
They do indeed walk out like bandits. WorstTurttle trying to force something in the mid lane, takes so much damage, and LASBRA gets disrupted. Beautiful play out of Warchi.
Yeah, Warchi on top of the world right there. LASBRA with a hot play of his own.
Oh, yeah.
But Warchi just one step ahead. The banish, I had talked about the offensive prowess of the banish. Well, look at the peel.
There you go. Just being able to get somebody out of the action for that 1.5 seconds. Long enough to disrupt the combo of Cobra's Kiss into the last breath. Surprised not to see the last breath originally, but I guess LASBRA just wasn't in range to apply it. Needed the extra range out of the Cobra's Kiss.
Yeah, sometimes you can sit there mashing the button. You're just a little bit out of range. I have my ultimate on spacebar, so I just sit there slamming it, and you're like right in that.
Because it's not melee range, true melee range.
Yeah.
It has like slight extension, similar to how Bologna's Scourge is not a true melee range whip either. You have that added additional range to be able to kite your opposition or peel for yourself and whatnot.
So Insignem off of that kill, or dropped kill rather, are able to still walk forward. They don't lose anything because of it. Nobody really dies on the other side. WorstTurttle getting taunted into a slew of damage. And Joshy gonna find the second to last hit. Genetics is actually the one that comes through in the clutch. Chang'e shows up to the party a little bit too late and isn't punished for his transgressions.
Good whoop. Onto Genetics, preventing any sort of taunt shenanigans to disrupt Dracomarino from that rollout, as LASBRA gonna take advantage of WorstTurtle's death by invading the backhams, get something out of nothing. Blue
And
buff
blue.
to follow suit. And hey, why not a Pyromancer with a little cherry on top?
Yeah, nice and easy here. Pyromancer goes to even Insignem.
That kill brought to you all because the beads were still down from WorstTurtle. Wanted to counter ward that top left mid camp, but didn't really respect the dash taunt from Genetics. And Athena Agni is such a good combination. Taunt into bomb stun. Surprised that teams aren't picking up more Agnis these days, because there's so many other supports that can set you up with besides just the taunt.
Agni is one of my favorite characters as far as his application in the game. So many, you can long range initiate as a mid lane mage, something virtually no other mid laner can do in a traditional role, right? You can peel for yourself, you've got the dash, you're doing a ton of damage, you're a great character to spread on hit effects like anti-heal or slow because of the way your dot works. Spear of the Magus also the preferred penetration item if you can use it, and it works out well here for Agni. I think the downside is lack of true burst.
I think the downside is his dash can't get him out of the cage at the end of the day, as he gets trapped on and can't get away. And I was about to mention how I think Agni is like the best mage that you could possibly want, not like in competitive setting for burst damage and one-shot potential, but just the all-around versatility.
He's got a ton of options. Zearoe, however, has none. Get some help from Genetics, and meanwhile around the backside comes LASBRA. Insignem turn a bad fight into a great one. Julio's meditation already used. And now Chang'e gonna try to be on the offensive with a nice ultimate. It's Insignem that shy away from death. DeathPanter falls down, but everybody else gets away.
That's right, all the cooldowns were used from Papis to find that original pick. At least most of them were, so some good counter engages from Insignem. Gold Fury due to respawn in 40 seconds, and DeathPanter is going to be available for that one. Papis need to make sure they have it lit up like a Christmas tree, because Insignem got the last one for free, basically.
Can't happen again. Cannot happen again. I need to see blue wards on the pathway to the Gold Fury itself. That area somewhere, and there's no vision. Right now, Rama is walking over the ward. That's the only Papis ward on that left side of the map. It's underneath the Gold Fury on the Poppy side. Not where you want to be if you're looking for Insignia.
Definitely not. Chang'e, very bold, not canceling his back. Knew that he had the perfect timing despite the ambush from LASBRA, not having Blink available for another 50 seconds. Gold Fury now is up and available, but no one really around the vicinity for either side. So it could be a race.
Yeah, we saw Chang'e back, or excuse me, we saw Joshy back to base. There's the vision. Good job, Draco. Making sure that he has vision both on the objective itself and a little bit up north.
So here's where things get a little bit weird for both teams, because you drop a ward, but you're not defending the ward. So now you're giving Insignem the opportunity to clear the ward, and you're not in position to stop Genetics at all.
At the same time, it's a spot to, you know where your opponent is. You have that predictability there. So Insignem show their face at the at the Gold Fury, and they were able to get the ever important oracles as well. That was something the Papis really wanted to get there, was the oracles.
It's like doing laundry, and you put it in the washing machine, and you kind of like forget to put it in the dryer afterwards, and just let it air dry.
And then it just smells like a wet dog.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And that's what happened with that Sentry Ward. You just spent all this gold just to lose it.
And give some to the opposition.
Yeah.
Half HP in the Gold Fury. Insignem clearly looking for the fight. Nobody in the world believes you're going for this Gold Fury. I think you want to scrap. Julio gets stunned out. There's the dash forward to root him in place as well. WorstTurttle drops the ring. And a brief pause in the action. Not in game, in the team fight. I'm sorry.
It's all about trying to go onto Julio. That's going to be the main focus. And if they could double stun him and Dracomarino to prevent any gap shields, that's the goal. Look at Genetics' positioning. Going to go in, double taunts, forces one selection. It's onto Warchi, but not onto Julio.
Zearoe going to pop off his ultimate. Draco finds the stun.
4.
Zearoe dashes forward. Julio in trouble, but LASBRA from the back end can't find a target. Has the Athena on top. and nobody gets hit by the defender of Olympus. Insignem spread out. Joshy able to do it, but here's the collapse on one, but it's the tank. Genetics escapes. And now Chang'e way too deep.
Oh no, but he got pushed back into the gap shield. There goes the bomb. DeathPanter gets credited with that last hit. Chang'e a little too frisky, trading his life out for the enemy soul laner.
4-on-4 here, and the Papis looking for the gold. Half HP on the objective so far. Joshy relatively low. Keep an eye on the Serqet that's wrapping around the backside. Nobody knows LASBRA's here. 10% on the objective. Gonna be leashed up as the Papis look for the fight. LASBRA coming up the middle lane. There's the push away from WorstTurttle. Joshy gets the kill on a one. Jumping in is the Serqet. Julio avoids the zigzag. Where's the taunt? Not available. LASBRA's not going to be able to save his teammate. Julio gets DeathPanter. Joshy takes down Warchi, and LASBRA combines, setting up the carry. 3 for 2. And the Papis are on the bad side, but nobody gets the Gold Fury.
Genetics is the MVP of that team fight. Body blocking to high heaven, not allowing Joshy to absorb any pot shots coming from Warchi's Freya. And you can tell Warchi really wanted that kill because he ignored DeathPanter that whole time, assuming that Julio was going to find the kill at the end of the day, which he did. Took a little bit longer probably than anticipated, but you could just see how Insignem have strength in numbers, being able to play off of each other one after another. And the reason why Papis aggressed forward is because they didn't see LASBRA. They thought he backed to base, not that he was wrapping around that Gold Fury pit. And that was a good timing, but they just lost WorstTurttle a little too quickly. Using that jump offensively put him in a really bad spot.
Bit by bit, Insignem looking to push forward. The Papis take that bell ring as an invitation to the Gold Fury.
Yeah, but Julio was on Oracles the whole time, not even chipping away at the Gold Fury, so you can clearly tell Papis want to bait out this team fight.
And Insignem can cross the street much quicker than the Papis can take care of the Gold Fury. Dracomarino with a great ultimate will stun 3, but WorstTurttle chases down the runaway LASBRA. Caught in the ring. There's the spin and the hit. Warchi gets kill number 5, and the Odin ring proves fruitful after the fact. Zearoe's on the run.
The heal is so good. WorstTurttle gonna find 2 with the bird bomb. Still a 5-on-4 as Papis is pushing forward. The taunt onto Dracomarino will end his life. Now it's gonna be a 4-on-4. Julio still applying a lot of sustain. WorstTurtle in the backline gets 2 members with the slow root onto Genetics.
Oh my goodness. DeathPanter takes a huge chunk of life. Chang'e on the back line. This time he has his team. WorstTurtle with the spin to win. Takes down DeathPanter. The dash away from Genetics is good for the moment, but the jump will do one better. Double un for the WorstTurtle. And the Gold Fury is next. The Papis 4-player strong compared to Insignem's 3 will get the objective.
Genetics' Phantom just now coming off of cooldown couldn't save the life of LASBRA, and that's where things got really scary for Insignem. Losing their jungler Serqet doesn't have that much burst damage to follow.
Terra pops the ultimate. This should be the death of Zearoe, and it will be. 8 and 8. Our teams match each other in the kill column.
Ooh, LASBRA, thinking about it.
Won't be able to. Look at the healing coming out from Julio.
It's impressive.
Great point by Doug. 11,000 in the solo lane, Chang'e. Keep in mind, he also has the meditation. This is, I really do love this choice. The Rod of Asclepius coming through in the clutch as well. Because Chang'e is a battle mage, man. Yes, that aura is talking about all the healing. And at 11K, that's a big part of what Julio is bringing to this team. But the damage also very relevant. He's 100 damage behind his Freya.
That's true, and without a cursed Ankh on the side of Insignem, it's really hard to deal with that kind of a healing presence. If you're looking to burst down Julio without cursed Ankh upgrade, you're just asking for a bad time. And looking at some of the anti-healing options, you have Divine Ruin, sure, but I'm not really seeing a Pestilence. On top of this, no Brawlers Beat Stick either, so Insignem are relying on literally just DeathPanter to apply a little bit of anti-healing. You do also have Last Breath, I guess, which is pretty good. 100% anti-healing is 100% anti-healing.
At the same time, I'm with your original statement. I think that Insignem probably could use a little bit more anti-heal, whether it's a Pestilence on Zearoe or a Beat Stick on LASBRA, right? Don't buy a toxic blade. Knock up on the LASBRA from Dracomarino. Insignem on the retreat.
Forcing 2 ultimates for literally nothing. The only relic that was used was LASBRA's Blink. Was trying to get off the Cobra's Kiss, and with the Geb shield from Dracomarino, I'm surprised that Warchi panicked to the point of even using that Valkyrie's Discretion, was afraid of getting the last breath without the purification beads available.
Julio finishes Lotus Crown, which is going to make this build even scarier. I'll let you talk about it in a moment, because LASBRA's going to stop WorstTurttle from talking about anything. Just the ultimate, though.
I think that was a defensive ultimate coming from LASBRA, not wanting to get trapped in the cage from WorstTurttle, afraid of his positioning. And without that last breath, Warchi can breathe easier, Chang'e can breathe easier, and Dracomarino doesn't have to worry about that cooldown to see who he's going to apply a Geb shield to. But yeah, you were mentioning about the Lotus Crown, and 20 protections is just going to add a little bit more synergy for the longer duration team fights from Papis, making sure that you peel it for your backline with a heal, making sure that you add 20 protections is not a bad way to keep your hyper carries alive longer.
Just shy of 25 minutes. We're tied up in the kills, Insignem with a very slight lead here, 2,000 gold. Worth talking about. 2,000, 3,000 is the moment where I feel like you have a reasonable expectation to win team fights.
Yeah, but not in 25 minutes. That's just meaningless. I think Fire Giant is where you're really looking to build a lead off of.
And the Papis are going for it. 40% on the big boy. Insignem filtering in. Genetics is here, being zoned out by WorstTurttle. Zero's here as well. DeathPanter shows up. Somebody's got to look at DeathPanter. Somebody's got to look at DeathPanter. The Papis don't zone, but the Papis do get the victory in the objective fight. Ring drop down, Insignem fighting into it. All across the map is the Papis. WorstTurttle. Goomba stomps down last.
A lot of damage there. Joshy looking for the snipes, and he lands all 3, but the Geb shield and Julio's heal good enough to keep Warchi alive.
Dracomarino's Geb. So much fun.
We're not going to see Geb in Game 2, guarantee it. Win or lose,
yeah.
Insignem is not going to allow it.
Not at all. Dracomarino's Geb has been perhaps the most impactful player on the map.
Yep.
It's incredible. I've really enjoyed watching WorstTurttle play on the Odin, which again, we were talking about if you joined us to the beginning of the broadcast, Anatoly and I casted the Papis versus Optimus gang. And you gave a real big shout out to the flexibility of the squad. And looking at what WorstTurtle's doing here, he played Alquang, Hebo, now he's playing Odin. This is a very opposite feel. He's 6-2 and 3 and he's crushing it.
Just able to lock people down is the name of the game. Serqet, LASBRA struggling a little bit at times. Once you go in as a Serqet, you don't have many options to get out all the time, and that ultimate from Odin prevents the Deathbane from being even a factor. So if you use ambush to get in, you are not getting out.
Pyromancer goes down as well. The Papis have taken the lead change over here. 3,000 gold in the way of the Papis. LASBRA trying to find the pick on the Chang'e, but won't be able to find it. Gold Fury started here by the Spanish team.
Joshy up in the sky looking for the steal.
It's going to go to the Papis. Nice try from Joshy. I respect it. And now I'd like to see the Papis walk up the left lane.
Oh, yeah. Because I don't expect Insignem to try to defend like a tier 1 tower, and I think Joshy's ultimate will be available for the next Phoenix Siege where it will really matter.
Yep. Yeah, Insignem's Hunter, that is, you make that play 10 times out of 10. You just go to the sky, your ultimate's not going to be relevant until it's up again. Yeah, no problem.
Emperor's Armor from Dracomarino, thinking about ways to close out the game a little bit further. So an item that he just prefers in general, objectively. Not a bad idea to have those Phoenixes covered between your own getting boosted or the enemies getting slower. But I would like to see a Talisman of Energy if Papis do want to start sieging sooner rather than later.
Really? Why is that?
Between the movement speed and attack speed that you get from this item, Warchi doesn't have too much attack speed in his build. So you give him a little bit of attack speed with Talisman of Energy.
That's fair.
That siege becomes a little bit easier for Papis. Movement speed, WorstTurttle, after he jumps in, blinks in, whatever, might benefit from that movement speed to get the more perfect cage that he needs.
I love this call. The Papis identify that they have 2 players in the middle lane, so they're going right for the left-hand Phoenix. 40% on the bird. DeathPanter down to 20% himself. Warchi on the chase. Lift and sift. Joshy in the silt. WorstTurttle gonna find a kill as well. It's a 5-on-3. Fire Giant's good too. LASBRA zigzags into the fountain. Titan under attack. Odin jumps on top. 60%, 40%, 20%. And the Papis, they're gonna take game 1 against the summer SML champions Insignem.
What a performance out of the Papis. 29 minutes into the game. They had full control of this entire game. Honestly, once the ultimate started to come through from WorstTurtle's Odin, it was difficult to really stop getting trapped in. LASBRA couldn't really make the plays that he wanted to. Warchi was really popping off on the Freya late game damage, and Dracomarino's shields were just remarkable.
Dracomarino, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him. Save the best for last. Dracomarino, perhaps the single biggest impact. We're going to ask you about it right now. I'm going to say Draco. Shoutouts to Odin. WorstTurtle certainly stepped it up and played his role correctly. Can't say no to Julio, but I'm looking at Draco. I'm always looking at Draco.
Yes.
And this game is why.
It was the team fight draft. Chang'e, Gab. It was so difficult to kill anyone out of the Papis, and I think that Insignem need to figure that out if they want to extend this to a game 3.
Fantastic game number 1 in the books. The Papis take down Insignem. We'll go a step further and talk to Ryan and Finch.
We'll be happy to, Tom. Thank you as well. They're totally Finch and aggro here to break down game 1 going the way of the Papis, and they look pretty good doing it. But for the most part, didn't it kind of go to plan? Like, oh, the Odin looked good early. We said they need the Geb to protect these carries. That's essentially what ended up happening.
The team fight started happening, and the Papis just never seemed to lose momentum once the group ups started to happen. That Odin selection for WorstTurtle, Zearoe's effectiveness was cut in more than half, basically, by this Odin pickup. He finishes 7-2. Julio plays another great game on the Chang'e. Very difficult to stop him. And Draco, I mean, the Geb shields, the initiations, the peel, he played out of his mind.
He absolutely had a great game for him, and that was all the facilitating, especially WorstTurtles, really benefited Warchi. You can see him up there at the top of the player damage charts, at least on his own side, even I think above Insignem. So a very strong performance from this Freya. And I am right there with you. I want to highlight Julio again because Waxing Moon is such a critical cooldown. I always say it, and Julio nails them all the time. But again, it's Dracomarino, the one that's selected as the MVP by those of you out there in Mixer Chat.
13,000 plus healing from Julio. Only one player on Insignem did more damage than that, and that was Joshy. I mean, that really shows you how effective Julio's healing was, as well as his damage, also putting out 13,000 damage.
Crazy.
That would have been second highest on Insignem if you were on that team. So Julio's Chang'e was great, but a large part of why he's able to be great is because he can position aggressively, get those heals off, get those Waxing Moons off, because he knows Draco had his back with those Geb shields.
And that's the question, right? Now, does the Papis have to make adjustments in picks and bans around this Geb? Is it just simple as take that out and this house cards falls apart? I don't know if they had any misplays in their draft. I kind of liked Insignem's draft more going into that, if I'm being honest.
I think the Odin was really where it went wrong. I think that if you have the ability to just surge
Terra
forward,
into that Odin, maybe,
exactly. You know, if you could just surge forward, we hit Terra on everybody. Geb can only shield one, and we kill the other target that we can get to, and then we kill the Geb. You have a much better chance. I think that Geb was a problem, and I think that Odin was a problem.
Yeah.
You can almost get away with both of those being on the table, though, if you don't have to worry about Julio's Chang'e. I think that might be the spot where Insignem looked to stop.